What is going on YouTube? Gabmus here, and today we're checking out EndeavourOS. Now EndeavourOS is a Linux distribution based on Arch Linux that tries to be a kind of a spiritual successor to Antergos. But is it really? Let's find out. So let's start looking at EndeavourOS. We're gonna put into the live image. And there we have it. Here's the desktop. And the greeter that comes up just at the right time. So first thing, let's actually change the resolution to actually match my screen. If I can manage to. There we go. Here's our resolution. So let's actually start installing EndeavourOS, then we can look into the system a little bit more. So in the greeter we have some general info, website news, donate, wiki, which is pretty interesting. After install, and I'm pretty sure that this is probably gonna be shown after the install, and add more apps. So a quick application installer, which is nice, reminiscent of what Ubuntu Mate is doing. Let's actually install the system. So there's not actually just one option in the install tab, which can be daunting to new users. I imagine that just doing start the installer would work. Maybe initialize mirroring would be a better first option. So we're just gonna do that. And it's gonna open a terminal, which is okay. Again, can be daunting to new users, but I'm not sure how much this distro is aimed at new users. At this point, I'm more inclined to think that this is more oriented towards semi-experienced users. So not your typical Windows refugee, maybe, but possibly someone that's already pretty familiar with Linux and wants to get a little bit more. Is this done? I think so. Let's start the installer. So it actually ranked my mirrors at some point. Maybe it's just taking the position based on the IP address, but it suggests to use the Italy mirrors. So we're just gonna go with that. And yeah, all right. Okay, so it generated an actual mirror list and wants me to save it. And sure, why not at this point? And here's the actual installer, and it defaulted to Italian. Thankfully, I can change that. It's a nice addition though. It ranks your mirrors based on the position and starts the installer again based on the actual position. Next, yeah, we're gonna set the actual location for the time zone, and Rome is fine. And we're gonna set the keyboard layout. Everything seems to be picking up right. So we're already in the partitioning part of the installation. And we have two options, erase disk and manual partitioning. We're just gonna go with erase disk. And it has an option to choose if we want swap or if we don't. So I'm gonna go with swap, since this virtual machine just has 2 gigs. And apparently it's going with the old rule of having twice the size of your RAM as a swap. And I'm not really very fond of this old idea. Maybe like 10 years ago it would make sense, but at this point, even if I have 2 gigs of RAM, having just 2 gigs of swap is really fine. I mean, I can have a 2 gigabit system running without swap even if I want to. We even have an option to encrypt our system, and I'm tempted to do that because on a laptop that's actually very important. On a desktop, well, it can be debated. I don't think it's as important on a desktop because your laptop you always have with you, and if it gets stolen or taken by like airport security or something, and it's not encrypted, they can read whatever's on the disk if they try hard enough. But if it's encrypted, they're gonna have no way of reading the content of your disk except knowing the password. But anyway, I don't think we're gonna use encryption at this point. If you're actually installing in the laptop, I suggest you try to use encryption, and it really should work pretty well. I mean, it's not super complicated to set up encryption in Arch, so I suspect that Endeavour would be no different, and the installer would have no problem setting up a basic Lux encryption on LVM. But if you're having problems with encryption, just let me know. Maybe we can try to look into it together. And of course, it's gonna ask for some details on the user. So what's your name? Gabmus. Same username, same, okay, well, as far as the host name, this works. And a super safe password. Login automatically, we don't want that. And use the same password for the administrator account. This is actually a pretty handy option if you want to have your root user set up using your same password. And at the end of the day, you're the administrator of your computer, so having the same password for root is not that big of a deal. It's gonna give us an overview what's going to happen once we press install button, and yeah, everything looks good. So actually go for it. One small thing that I noticed during the installation process is that there was no actual way to choose a desktop environment. Let's remember that EndeavourOS tries to be the successor to Antergos, and one of the greatest things Antergos brought to the table was having the possibility to choose your own desktop environment or no desktop environment right from the installer. In my opinion, that was like a killer feature, and it was implemented in a very nice way. And not having this in EndeavourOS is kind of a disappointment, but really, it's early days for this distribution yet, and it doesn't look like they recycled anything from Antergos except maybe for the philosophy. So if they want to implement it at some point, it's understandable that it's not there yet. But anyway, just something I wanted to point out. All done. So the installation apparently went well, so we're gonna just restart the system now. There we go. So this is the actual bootloader. Looks like Grub, and it is Grub. So we're just gonna choose the default option, of course. And of course the resolution is still wrong, but whatever. We have this pretty nice login screen, which I suspect is Light DM. We're gonna verify that in a minute. And of course we have, the only session we have is our XFCE session. So let's actually log in. And wow, so many things. Unable to compile list of packages, failed to evaluate transaction, conflicting dependencies, OpenXR and Ilmbase are in conflict. Run simulation? What? Okay, I'm pretty confident this is like a package conflict that's gonna be resolved very easily in the command line, but a new user would be terrified to see this thing pop up when they first install their system. So not sure where to go with that. But anyway, first thing, let's actually get our display resolution right again. So here's our installed system, and let's see what we have here. We have install again. Weird. So we knew that the greeter was the same for the installer and the actual installed system because we saw all these tabs, but I didn't think we would see the install tab here. That's weird. Wonder what what would happen if we were to install again the system on top of the system that's actually running. I don't know, but I don't want to find out. So general info, we have the website, news, wiki, after install. Okay, so here's some actual things we might want to do. Update mirrors, and that's what happened like when we first started the installer. So same exact dialogue, and I guess it's no harm to do it again. Pressed OK. Probably it's doing its thing, or probably it already did its thing. Alright, let's update the system. No, it didn't finish. So here it is. The mirrors are updated, and we can save the mirror list. And of course we have to authenticate because this isn't a live system anymore. And let's actually update the system now. And of course we have to authenticate. It's interesting that everything is done in the terminal anyway. Even if we have a user interface, the actual thing that the interface opens is just a terminal. And of course it's giving us errors. So Pacman breaks dependency, Pacman lesser than 5.2 required by Calu. What is Calu? Okay, it's just a tray icon, so not much more than that. And it shows notifications, which is a thing, I guess. We have some other options like change display manager. We can choose between GDM, LightDM, XDM, and SDDM. So my suspect was confirmed that the actual display manager was LightDM, but why is it giving us this option? Package management, it's gonna open up, I guess, some documentation. Yeah, it opened up a documentation page in Firefox on the website. Okay. AUR and Yay, probably some more documentation. Hardware network, Bluetooth, NVIDIA users. Oh, we have an NVIDIA installer. No, still a link. Well, they actually are using some kind of script to install NVIDIA drivers, which is interesting. Anyway, this looks like a fairly comprehensive guide and pretty easy to follow. I don't hate it. No, far from it. I actually think this is actually pretty useful. And forum tips. So this is a collection of, like, from here onward, it's just a collection of links. I guess it works. Doesn't seem very polished or professional or whatever, but again, it works. And at the end of the day, learning about this stuff will give you some insight into learning the inner workings of a real Arch system. An operating system, in my opinion, is something that should provide an experience. And Arch itself, in its simplicity, also provides an experience. You set up your own experience. This is more like a learning experience, EndeavourOS, for what I'm seeing here. Again, don't hate it, but I'm not sure what to make of it yet. So let's actually try to update our system and get rid of Calu. Sudo pacman rsnc Calu. We should probably be able to update. Okay, let's interrupt the update process for a second. Do you see what's happening here? all these 100% you see on the right. This percentage is only referred to the current package it's downloading. This is a default in Pacman and I really hate it, but fortunately there's a way to change its behavior. And it's weird that it's not enabled by default, considering they enabled the Pacman loading bars. But anyway, let's actually do this. So you want to use your favorite text editor and open up /etc/pacman.conf. And of course, Vim isn't installed. What about that? What about VI? Of course, VI is installed. Anyway, we want to go to the line that says total download. There we go. And we just want to uncomment it. So we just want to remove the £sign here. And that's done. Color, I love candy, but total download wasn't uncommented. I'm not sure what to do with that. Anyway, that this is done, let's actually save and quit. And we can run the update command again. I'm gonna choose the same option. And as you see now on the right, it shows the total percentage of the progress of the update. This is a very nice feature, I think, and I really think it should be default in Pacman. But the fact that it can be changed doesn't really matter to me too much. I think the Endeavor developers should actually set this as default in their distribution, but it's a nice addition. But if you're gonna use a graphical front end for packages, that's not gonna matter too much anyway. And that's actually what we will do once we get our system up to date. We're gonna install a newer, more up-to-date front end for Pacman, because this is an Arch. If this was pure Arch, I would probably tell you just use the command line, but this isn't. This is EndeavourOS, it's aimed at new users. So I think having a graphical front end for the package manager, while not completely necessary, it does make sense. If nothing else, just to remind you about updates. Alright, let's actually go ahead and install a proper graphical package manager for EndeavourOS. Now, I really have two main suggestions for this. One is Pamac, which is the graphical package manager Manjaro uses and maintains. And the other one is Octopi, which is a more bare bones graphical interface for Pacman. Pamac uses GTK for its interface, while Octopi uses Qt. So if you're aligned on one of the two, you may choose to install one or the other. I personally prefer to use Pamac because I think it looks better and overall it's a little bit more usable and more user-friendly. So just gonna go ahead with that. So Pamac, you can find it in the AUR. So conveniently enough, you have Yay pre-installed in EndeavourOS. So just can do Yay SS Pamac, and it's gonna list all the available versions of Pamac. And we can just go ahead and install Pamac AUR. It should be the latest stable version. Let's go with that. So it's just Yay-S. And remove make dependencies after the install? No, because we're gonna need those to update the actual packages. Ifs to show none, proceed, yes. So it's gonna install quite a lot of dependencies. Just wanted to make a quick comment. So far, it wasn't really a very user-friendly experience using EndeavourOS. And it's difficult for me to judge such a distribution because I've been using Arch for a long time now, and I have to try and get in the shoes of someone that's just starting out with Linux, or maybe more specifically Arch. Anyway, this doesn't seem to be a very nice experience right off the bat. Mostly that Kadu thing that prevented you from updating and possibly installing anything else, that really bit hard. So hopefully they fix it real soon, but once it's all said and done, we are trying to fix this problem anyway. So we removed Calu and we just installed Pamac. I'm just gonna open it up. So the nice thing about Pamac is that it has two actual menu entries: add, remove software, and software updates. Anyway, this is Pamac, and as you see, it looks like a minimalist store. We have featured, photo and video, music and audio, productivity, all the categories. We even have games. Look at that. So this is Pamac, and it's the package manager that I suggest you replace Calu with. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna also notify you if there are any updates by itself. So decent replacement for Calu. Now that we have this fixed, we can go ahead and look at the rest of our system. So let's get back to the greeter and go to the add more apps tab, and we have the choice to install different applications on the greeter. So let's say we want to install, let's go with Chromium, because LibreOffice, I don't use Chromium, but LibreOffice is heavier, and I just want to see if this greeter menu actually does anything. So just go with Chromium. Apparently it's working. I was thinking that maybe it was relying on Calu, but I say that's not the case, thankfully, because we removed that from our system. It's done, so we should have Chromium installed now, right? Yep, there we have it. Okay, so this is the greeter. It works. It gives you the choice to install the most common applications and Bluetooth Manager for XFCE, which is not pre-installed for some reason. Maybe, well, not everyone has or wants to use Bluetooth, so I guess that's okay. As far as the standard desktop environment stuff we have going on here, this is XFCE. Nothing particularly too new about it. This is using the Arc theme, which is a decent theme for XFCE. The styling looks good. The default wallpaper is pretty neutral, and I don't hate it. We have some pinned apps. As for the terminal, I'm not sure what this is, really. Oh, it's just the XFCE terminal. I remember it having an actual menu bar like this, and not having the toolbar, but okay, whatever. It's just a terminal. It works. I don't need to know what it is to use it. And as for system monitor, okay, we don't have any graphical system monitor. Instead, we have a terminal launcher to GTOP, of all things. Well, alright. I mean, GTOP looks good. It's hickory. Makes it look cool if you keep it open, but it's not really the first choice as far as terminal-based system monitors go. But I guess that works anyway. The Ctrl-Alt-T shortcut is set by default to open a terminal, which is pretty nice. Let's see if HTOP is installed, and it is installed, thankfully. So I think if I were you, I would probably replace the GTOP shortcut with an HTOP shortcut, but that's actually up to you and what you prefer. We have Firefox installed as default browser. Pretty decent choice. As far as the rest of the applications, we have not much. This is really a standard XFCE installation with nothing very much different from the usual. No, really, I don't have anything particular to say about the set of default applications. Maybe XFWord is too much. Who has a DVD burner anyway these days. But really, except for that, that's it. You have an Arch system with a few things to tweak before it's actually usable. And that's all EndeavourOS is. This is EndeavourOS. It's Arch with any installer with a very nice default XFC experience and broken out of the box. At least for now. I don't really know what to make of it. I see they're going somewhere. I actually tried Endeavour like shortly after it one of the first versions came out, and it wasn't great. It's still broken. I mean, I actually installed a pre-broken system. At least I can fix it easily. Well, because I know how to fix it. But I see progress anyway. I see where they're going, and I know it's not easy to live up to Antergos' legacy, but they're working on it. I see some passion in the project. I think that given enough time, they will be able to deliver a pretty nice default Arch-like system. As for now, this was EndeavourOS. If you're planning on using it, well, this video really shows you how to make it usable again and unbreak it. But as far as the distribution goes, it's not as fancy as Manjaro is, and in my book that's a positive, because one of the things that I don't like about Manjaro is that it tries to do too much. It tries to be what Ubuntu is to Debian, and doing that on an Arch system, well, maybe it's just me, but it feels kind of wrong. It doesn't feel great to use Manjaro, at least for me. Many people actually love it, and that's fine. But this is different. This tries to stick as close to Arch as possible while providing a decent out-of-the-box experience. That's something I can respect. That's something I really liked back in Antergos, and something I really like to see in Endeavour. It's still a little bit rough around the edges, but I can see some improvement going forward. Alright guys, this is gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you very much for watching, I really do appreciate it. If you like this video, please make sure to press the thumbs up button down there, and also remember to subscribe to my channel if you want more of this. Make sure to join the TechPills community at techpills.technology/community, and remember to tune in Saturday for the first episode of the weekly TechPills live show. Alright guys, thank you again very much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.